North-South Connection Broadcast Network. Hey, everybody, this is Keithie. Keithie Langston here with A La Carte number 18. This is simulcast now on audio and video on YouTube on the North-South Connection Podcast Network's YouTube page. So I hope you all come and take a look and see me as well as my guest co-host this week. You can see all of his movie posters / wrestling posters behind him and all my Legos behind me. At this time, I'd like to bring in my guest, my friend, my brother from southern border, JT Rizzera. How are you, JT?
I'm here at Special Delivery Jones as well.
SD Jones, nice. Don't remember,
hi.
this is remember, most of my listeners don't know anything about wrestling, and that's all I ever hear is whenever I tell anybody, I go, hey, you should listen to my show. Everyone always says, I don't know anything about wrestling. I go, that's fine. I don't talk about wrestling, so you can listen to it. I go, I talk about movies and music and television. What the hell? Everybody knows that. But anywho, so we are here, A La Carte number 18. So what I would like to talk to you about is we had kind of a discussion off screen regarding some of the recent Rolling Stones top 10 lists that have been coming out. I've been getting it blasted on my social media. It's been like the top 10 worst songs of 80s, 90s, 70s, 60s, blah, 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 blah. Now, I am a fan of the 80s. You are a fan of the 90s. I think we'll split the difference. We'll give it to you, and we'll say that we're going to go over the top 10 worst songs of the 90s. And I want to hear your opinion, and you tell me if you think that you agree with this list. I've gone over the list. There are some that I agree with, but there are some that I'm kind of iffy on, if you get my meaning. So right off the bat, I'm going to say that the number 10 song is the Four Non Blondes, What's Up? I would say one hit wonder because I don't think I know any other song that Four Non Blondes sang. Do you remember this song? You know, I wanna see.
Oh yeah, definitely. As a avid listener of 90s on 9 on Sirius, you hear it all the time on there. But yeah. So I don't. So this is the worst list. You said top 10.
This is the
top
worst.
10
This
worst.
is the top 10 worst songs of the 90s.
So this is number 10. This is the 10th worst song in the 90s. See, I think it comes down to the old metric of anything, right? Like, is it make money or is it like critically bad, right? So it's like a Hulk Hogan scenario, where he's the biggest draw. So this song obviously did well, you know what I mean? Like it was a hit, successful. But even critically, I don't think it's that bad. I don't know why you do see it often pop up on these lists, but like to me, I don't know what's bad about it. It's catchy. It's got a hook. You identify it with the time period right away.
Yes, it reached number 14 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. That's where it hit the highest peak for the U.S. on the U.S. Cashbox Top 100 at number 13. But it was a number one hit in Switzerland, Sweden, Norway, the Netherlands, Lithuania, Ireland, Iceland, Germany, Europe itself on the Eurochart Hot 100, Denmark, Belgium, Austria. So, I mean, yeah, it was a number one hit in several different places. So I guess you could say that it's probably just one of those things that aesthetically it just irritates people when they hear it.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like it's become one of the like self-fulfilling prophecy situations where like someone had it on a list or hated it. And then, but see, for me at the time, I what was this, like 93, 94? Is somewhere in there? Right?
Yeah, 90. Yeah, it's 93. Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been like dialed into like the critical aspects of this stuff back then. So to me, like maybe it was hated at the time. I don't know if it's a retroactive thing or not, but it feels like someone put it on one of these lists at one point and then it just became a thing.
And everybody just keeps dumping on it. I mean, just to kind of, again, I know you're not as a huge a fan of the 80s music, but you'll know like number 10 for the worst song of the 80s is Never Gonna Give You Up, which I mean has become a meme. And I feel like, yeah, it's probably not a great song. But again, it has a catchy tune. I think it equally did some pretty good success as far as like on the charts and things like that. It was always on the radio. It's still always on the radio. You know,
the meme definitely helped it have a second life in an ironic and an unironic way. In the end, I think it ended up making it more popular.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see that as being a top 10 worst song. I think of worst 80s songs. We'll see if they're on the list. But it captures the spirit of the 80s well with the synth and all that.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of songs that are probably worse, this is going to be progressively worse. How about I'm Too Sexy by Right Said Fred?
Yeah.
1992.
Yeah, I would say that's probably bad. I mean, I think it's memorable. Like I remember always quoting it or hearing about it. Like at that time, like people always, oh, I'm too sexy, for this, and right, they throw random shit in there.
Yep.
So I think it became a um kind of a cultural thing. But
Yes.
I would agree with this being much more likely to be on a worse list than Four
Sure.
Non Blondes. Did you ever mix up Right Said Fred with Drop Dead Fred, the movie?
Uh, oh, absolutely. I mean, I
Mm,
thought that this was on that soundtrack, and then I went,
right.
nope, that's not it at all. I mean, this is Billboard Hot 100 all the way up to number one. So I
Yeah,
mean,
it was a
yeah,
pretty popular song. I
it
know
was a
that.
hit. So, I mean, it's also certified platinum as far as in the US. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think this is I to me, this is, and again, this is a poll that has been selected by the readers.
Hmm.
So it's not one of these where it's based off of, I think, metrics. I think it's based off of just people's own, whether it's a guilty pleasure that they like it but they hate it, or
Right.
if you're just trying to look at, songs from bands like Ace of Base or Nirvana or, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, things like that. I mean, those are obviously going to be top 10. This is bottom 10, I guess. So, yeah. I mean, the next one on here, number 8, is Who Let the Dogs Out?
Yeah, that's bad. But again, like it's funny that all these bad songs were a cultural phenomena. Like Who Let
Sure.
the Dogs Out was freaking big. Like I mean, it was
Yeah.
everywhere. There were parody versions. It was
Mhm.
always on the radio. They played
It's funny
the
though. It,
music
it
video a lot.
it originally came out in 1998, but it didn't become a big hit until 2001.
You know why?
So,
Oh no, that would have been no, never mind. It wouldn't after that. But it also got big again. I feel like with the Hangover, and that was what 07,
yeah.
right? Because they play it in there, and I think it kind of got a
Yeah.
bounce. But it
Yeah.
became a very big sporting event song. Like I feel like they
Sure.
started playing it a lot at like arenas and stuff, and I think that
Mhm.
probably was a big part of it.
Yeah. I'm sure
But
a couple
yeah, it's another
baseball
one.
players had it as walk-up song, at walk-up
Yeah,
themes.
it was one of those ones that was I think popular and um a cultural thing. But yeah, that's one I would agree is critically bad. What's 9 and 8 on the 80s? Let's do both.
Oh, okay. Number 9 is Putting on the Ritz by Taco.
See, I like
Yeah,
that song. That's a good song.
I do. That's what I'm saying. Like the 80s list
Mm.
really irritated me because while I can understand kind of why people don't like them, I'm like, these are not bad songs. Like Putting on the Ritz is a pretty, it's a, first of all, whenever I think of Putting on the Ritz, I think of Young
Young
Frankenstein,
Frankenstein. Yeah,
and it's a great scene. So I have no
yeah.
problem with the song itself, but it was a very catchy tune. And I liked it. The number 8 is Mickey by Tony Basil, and it's like that's a great song too because it's just
See,
a good dance song, you know?
I don't like that song, but I think it is. There's like a time. The 80s stuff is interesting to me because obviously I grew up in the 80s, right? But I can't say
Mhm.
it was like super dialed into 80s music in the 80s. Like my mom was more, my dad was like all Motown and like 50s and 60s shit. So like we listened to a lot
Yeah,
of that. And my mom was more like soft rock, right?
right.
Um, but the 80s Renaissance nostalgia era was when I was in college. So it was like
Mhm.
that 2000, 2001, 2002, when like everyone started to discover, like all the websites started popping up. Like, do you remember this? And worse this? And I
Right.
remember the 80s. I love the 80s. Like all that stuff's really started to get big in like the early 2000s.
Right.
And those songs get into rotation, like dances and events and stuff. I think I got Mickeyed out during that time frame because I kind
That
of got sick of it.
it's
But
so it's funny in the article they talk about how at the time this was 1982, and at the
right.
time there wasn't really many songs or many videos on MTV, so Mickey got played a lot. And I
Hmm.
remember Mickey on being on MTV because we had MTV. I had a teenage sister, and so we had MTV was on a lot. So I remember that, but I think that part of it too is that because the she's a cheerleader, she's dressed as a cheerleader, she's a cute little cheerleader, and it kind of like sparks that little
Right.
inside of you, and that's probably why I have a fond memory of this. But I
It doesn't
also
feel like an
don't hate
80s
the
song,
song.
though. I will say that. It doesn't feel 80s to me. Like, I don't know what era it feels like, but it doesn't feel like early 80s. I'll say that at all to me.
No,
Like,
no, no, because when I think of early 80s, I tend to think of the music that was in like Freaks and Geeks, that kind of like almost like that.
The Who.
Yeah, like
Um,
that just well, that end of the 70s, like, disco
yeah,
is dead. Here comes like some sad rock, like
right.
right pre. the early 80s is really pre hair band music for
Right.
me.
Kiss.
And
Right. I mean,
yeah,
Kiss is still big in their ladies, stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah. So I think of that, but that's number 8 for that. I'll say this right here. Number 7 is "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by Bobby McFerrin. I mean, that's a oofa. Like
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, yeah, song was everywhere, but that song sucks.
Well, it's almost more like a spoken
Yes.
poem than like a song.
Yeah.
The video's kind of weird too. But again, it resonated. It's like to me, it was a super pop. Everyone knows "Don't Worry, Be Happy." They know the
Sure.
voice, like Bobby
Yeah.
McFerrin. You probably never know that name if you didn't know the song. So I
Family Guy
think
has that Family Guy has that
r-
great gag of him falling on the stairs. Oop, ba, ba, doop, ba, da, ba, doop, ba, ba, doop, ba, da. Yeah.
so like I find it interesting again that so far all 5 songs that or 6, however many we've done between the two lists,
Yeah.
none of them are just like shit songs that are like everyone hate. Like I feel like these all had moments in the sun, and maybe that's why they make the list, right? Because they're saying they're popular shitty songs. I don't know. Does that make them
Right.
shittier that they got popular? I don't know, but
I mean, number 7 for the 90s, vehemently am against it being on this list, and that's "My Heart Will Go On" by Celine Dion.
yeah, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
That song's great. Like,
How's that a bad song in any world? How's it like? A, it's a good like love song. 2, it's the theme to the biggest movie in history up until like the last couple of years.
yep.
It was synonymous with it. And as someone that worked at a grocery store in 1998, I can tell you I heard that goddamn song multiple times a day. So it was everywhere. I mean, everywhere that song, everywhere, everywhere,
I
everywhere,
worked at a bank in 1998, and I heard the same thing. So, yes,
everywhere. But I don't
it
think it's a
wasn't.
bad song by any means. I don't.
No,
That doesn't make sense to me, and
no.
especially it being the theme to the biggest grossing movie in history. It's crazy.
Now, I would say number 6 might fall correctly on this list, and that's "MMMBop." And that's just because that song, I can't get behind a band of a bunch of kids singing a song. I'm sorry, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, but they hit their audience. Like, I mean, they're a little bit early on the boy band thing, right? They're like a weird little bridge between like New Kids era and then like Backstreet Boys, which is coming right on their heels because
I was gonna
Backstreet
say,
Boys are earlier. They're earlier than you think. Backstreet Boys is like 96. Like you always think of them as like 98, 99, but
they really
they're
96. Yeah.
it's 96 they start.
Mm.
And I think Mbop is what 95. So they're like right, or maybe is it even later than that?
It's 97.
Oh shit. All right. So the
Yeah,
Backstreet Boys is even before them. But
but
they were super over like with their
yeah,
demographic for sure.
yeah, yeah. I thought when you were
But the
saying
song
Bridge the
makes no
Gap,
sense.
I wanted you to say Menudo so bad, just because no one ever references Menudo. But I'm not gonna get that from you. How about number 5 on this list is "Tub Thumping" by Chumbawamba.
I knew it was coming at some point. Yeah, I mean, I think it is again, we keep repeating ourselves, but I think it fits the tone of what we've already talked about, right?
Yeah,
It's a stupid song, it doesn't make sense, but it was like a cultural zeitgeist moment. Like everyone, I fall down, get up again. Like, I mean, like every sporting event. I'm sure
I am
some
gonna.
I'm sure politicians are coming out to it at rallies and stuff. Like,
I
it was a rallying song.
I'm gonna say a very controversial statement right now. I equate this song the same way I equate Tessie by the Dropkick Murphys, or Shipping Up to Boston by the Dropkick Murphys, or anything by the Dropkick Murphys. It's the drunken Boston, South Boston Irish guy who's just, hey
Right.
man, let me get another Bud Light. And I detest that. Being a Bostonian, I detest that. So,
Yeah, I
not how
mean
we all are.
but again, like it was this had to get to number 1, right? At some point. What was the highest it got? Because it was everywhere. This is another one that was on the radio. You couldn't escape it in 98, whenever the hell it dropped.
Yeah. Yeah, it came out in August of 1997 is when the single came out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean this reached all the way up to number 1 on the adult top 40, number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 1 on mainstream top 40, number 1 on modern rock tracks.
Yeah, it was everywhere. I mean, you
It
couldn't
was
escape
everywhere.
it. I think
Yeah.
I mean, it probably warrants a spot on the
That's
list. I knew it
fine.
was coming.
It's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's not, it's not the worst song out there, but
Do
it
you
was
think the
just a
name of the
very.
band plays into it? It's such a stupid band name that like that makes it feel even worse.
Oh yeah.
Chumbawamba.
Yeah, well, it's also Tub Thumping. What the fuck is that?
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
it's
dumb
just,
name. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a dumb name. I mean, this song should have just been called "Knock Down."
Right.
If
Yeah.
you
If it's
called it
knocked
"Knock
down
Down,"
by O'Brien
Smiths.
and the O'Briens, right?
Yeah,
It's something different.
right. Part of it is like part of it is with the Dropkick Murphys. Like, I just hate that name.
Right.
If I can, anyway. But that's me. Yeah. So where are we? Number going to the 80s. Rock Me Amadeus, number 6 by Falco. I don't know how dare anybody say Rock Me
Yeah.
Amadeus. I mean, any song that is turned into a musical number in The Simpsons.
Dr. Zayas, Dr.
Yeah,
Zayas.
Dr. Zayas. I mean, come on now. But no, yeah, Falco's Rock Me Amadeus is kind of odd. It's not. I'm not gonna sit here and sing
I
it, but
feel like the trend with the 80s list is it's
yeah,
songs that don't fit the pattern of what songs were. Like besides Rick Astley, I think that's like a stereotypical 80s song.
yeah.
But you think of Mickey, you think of uh Rock Me Amadeus, you think of
Hmm.
Put on the Ritz. They're all
Yep.
very like weird and unique and like odd. But
Also, Don't Worry, Be
that's the
Happy.
yeah, but that's the 80s to me. Like the 80s is the decade
Yeah,
of oddity. Like it's
yeah.
let's try different shit. We're gonna have this weird instrument and this stupid guy dance. Like to me, like Men Without Hats, or what the fuck Men with Hats, what is it? Men with Hats.
Oh my God, it's amazing you said Men
Safety
Without Hats.
dance.
The
Yeah.
Safety Dance is number 5.
All right. I knew it was coming up, but because it's the
Yeah,
same good thing, right? It doesn't make sense. It's a stupid song. But again, it's an iconic 80s song. Like and it's another to keep pulling up movies. This is how you know it's popular. That it works because Saving Silverman, when he
yep,
says he did the talent show, you could dance if you want to.
yep.
So it's like, these songs
Oh, wait,
resonate on some
There's a
level.
there's
And
another movie that the Safety Dance is in.
Hot Tub
And
Time Machine.
yeah, yes, it is. But it's like another movie that's not like an 80, like I want to say like there was a Sandler movie that may have had it. I don't know if that's true or
Probably.
not. I might be mistaking it with something else, but I feel like there's another movie that's in and it's in you see it and they're kind of doing like they're doing like the walk where they're just like kind of all in like
Right.
the conga line or whatever, and yeah, I think yeah,
I
no,
saw Hot Tub Time Machine. It was on TV the other night. I didn't catch it all. I caught like 20 minutes of it. It's so good. I got to bring
have you
back
ever
out the
seen it?
movies to see that. Hot Tub
Wait, have
Time
you ever?
Machine?
Oh, okay, you've seen it,
Oh
right?
yeah, I saw it in the theater. I've seen it a million
Okay,
times. It's
yeah.
it's one of my
Oh my
favorites.
God, we went to see that in the theater because of the name. We were like, we have to see this movie. This movie's just going to
It's
be
so good.
complete nonsense, and it ends
Yeah,
up
it's
being
good.
a great story.
Yeah, it's really good. It is a good story too. It's like a story
Yeah,
about childhood friends and growing apart and staying
sure.
together. Like it's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Did you see the sequel?
I think I saw it once. It wasn't
Yeah,
wasn't the
yeah, I
same
was gonna
because
say
who
you don't.
replaces what's his name? They swapped
Oh,
the
yeah. It's they take out John Cusack and they replace
yeah.
him with. Do they even
That's always
replace him?
they do. It's I can look it up now because I think everyone else is in it. Rob Corddry, I think, is still in it.
Yeah,
Um,
Rob Corddry's like and then isn't
Nick Duke, not Nick Duke, Clark Duke, whatever his name is.
Clark yeah,
Um,
yeah, and then Clark Duke.
yeah, Corddry, Craig Robinson. Who the fuck else is it?
Oh God, it's the I know who it is.
Adam
It's like
Scott. Adam Scott,
yeah, Adam Scott. That's who it is. Yeah, and I love Adam
and
Scott.
he's
But then
great. But I don't know. It just wasn't the same.
isn't Crispin Glover in the sequel too? Like,
I'm
does he
sure.
still show up in the sequel?
Yeah,
Crispin
it's
Glover.
fine. But the first one's like really good.
The first one's great, but that's a movie that didn't need a sequel. So
Yeah.
that list could go on for days. Let's see. What do you want? 80s or 90s? We got number
So
4.
what have we done? The five of both,
We have
bottom
the
five of
top.
both.
Yeah, we have 5 of both. So we have 4 left for each.
All right, let's do number 4 from the 80s.
Okay, number 4 from the 80s is this. I want to punch my computer screen right now. Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. How dare anybody ever not have ever put Wham on a worst list? Like, give me a
And another
break.
great movie tie-in with Zoolander when
That's
they're
right.
splashing the gas at each other and then they all blow up. But I think again, Keith, we're seeing it's a consistent trend.
I
It's
know.
like odd songs with odd approach and odd beat. Like that seems to be what they classify as bad for the 80s, like something that was outside the box. Because that's another
Oh,
one that's kind of like different and weird and poppy dance kind of style.
in fact, if you cut right when he says "Wake me up" and you cut it right there, that's a perfect way to end like a scene because that's all dramatic because it's just such a good cut. but that's
And everyone's always going to finish that line. That's how you know it's a popular song.
right. Before you go, don't leave me hanging like a yo-yo. I'll do number 3 because the last 2 songs are very 80s, but the number 3 song here is Lady in Red, which I feel this is an 80s vibe song. I
This
feel
list
like.
is stupid.
See, you do know most of these 80s songs.
I do. I just wanted to make sure we did the 90s too. But and that's is that Pretty Woman?
No, that I think
What was it in? It was in
well, I don't know if it was in it. There's a movie, The Woman in Red, which is Gene Wilder, and that came out like 2 years beforehand. I think that it is in that movie. So this would have come out probably when
Woman in Red.
Yeah. But yeah, it's in American Psycho. And then
I don't know what I'm thinking. I thought I was thinking of
yeah, no, it's not. No, I think you're thinking, Pretty Woman, you're thinking of
well, King of Wishful Thinking for sure.
Yeah. Oh, I love that song.
That soundtrack. On the list.
That's no, it's not. That soundtrack's actually pretty bomb. That Pretty Woman soundtrack. I was really big into soundtracks when I was a kid, like back when you would buy tapes and stuff. I was really big into getting soundtrack tapes, like
Wayne's World.
Oh yeah.
That's
oh god, Wayne's World was Oh, I remember buying the Bohemian Rhapsody single, single because of Wayne's World, and then God, what was on the backside of it was I think it was the show. It wasn't The Show Must Go On. I forget what song it was, but and the backside, I was like, even the backside of the single's awesome. So yeah, and I mean at that time I really didn't have much more knowledge of Queen other than that and like We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. Right. So yeah, but
Lady in Red was definitely a huge I mean, I knew it in the 90s just from it was played at every dance, every wedding, every event. Like that was like the big,
got all the way up to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100.
Dance for 4 minutes, spread apart with your arms. Sure. That was like that big one.
Yeah.
The most awkward one. I mean, I know it's probably a big surprise to you that I was extremely awkward, obviously, with the ladies in high school and earlier.
Ladies in Red.
Yeah. So this is like, so we go to this. I went to an all boys high school. So we used to have our dances. They would bring in the girls from the all girls high school. So, and then others could come too, but that was how they would force the mixer because we couldn't just do it ourselves. So the whole night, I'm just like, whatever, just hanging out with my friends. And my cousin is like, oh, I have a friend who, whatever, maybe you'd be interested in. You should ask her to dance or whatever. So I'm like, all right. So I go up and I'm like, my cousin comes with me and she's like, oh, you guys should dance. So she's like, okay. So we go to dance. Yeah, you want to take a guess what song? It was not Lady in Red. Think of like the most longest possible awkward song to be stuck dancing where you're not in any way capable of talking to a girl. So it was complete silence the entire time.
Oh boy.
Because I was of course fucking nervous and didn't know what to say.
Was it Paradise by the Dashboard Light by any chance?
No, but it's about probably the same length.
Oh god. Stairway? I don't know.
Yes, it was Stairway to Heaven.
Stairway to Heaven.
Like
that is so like a weird song to slow dance to.
So I'm slow dancing a Stairway to Heaven, like with a girl for like 8 minutes. I had not said a word. Like this is like the longest 8 minutes of my fucking life.
As we wind on down the road.
Oh my god! It was like end already.
It was so awkward. Stronger than our soul.
I remember she told my cousin, she was like, "He didn't say anything." I'm like, "Oh, what do you want?" I was nervous, and then it was weird dancing for 8 minutes.
She's like, "Man, this song is great."
What was I gonna say? Oh, did you see fucking Raw last week? I don't know. Did you see Goldust against Shawn Michaels?
That's what. You know what? Maybe that would have been the future miss.
Did you watch SportsCenter 35 times like I did this week?
What if she said yes? What if she was like, "Yeah, man, that's
right, yeah." A lot of girls were into 1995 WWF. I can tell you.
What if she told you that she was a big fan of like? What if she said, "I'm a big fan of Quang"? Like, would you have been like really upset?
I like a better Savio Vega. If it wasn't WWF or WCW, Seinfeld or sports, I had nothing to say. That was it in 1996. So
did you see the most recent episode of Seinfeld? Yeah, believe me, I wasn't any better at. I think I scared the shit out of my assistant principal one time because they started playing. I swear they started playing like either something by STP, or they played like Smells Like Teen Spirit like at the end, and I started like to mosh pit, and it was just I was not the type of person that they thought would ever do a mosh pit, so they were like really weirded out to see me like like thrashing, and yeah. But
We
yeah.
should be yeah. I don't know why
Well,
we're so awkward.
oh
It's
well, I mean,
awful.
well, yeah, I mean, you have you ever talked to Pete about bringing in the girls from the Catholic school, because that's what he had to go through at Malden Catholic.
It was rough. It was tough. But yeah, it's like because you just had none. And in that universe, you're so used to not caring. Like, so I
Right.
didn't give a shit about my peer. Like I wore the same fucking tie every day. Like I didn't give a
Sure.
fuck, right? Because you're
Yeah,
not there. Like, who cares?
you look the same as
Um,
every other guy.
right. So unless you just knew someone, like we either all knew the same girl, right? That was like dating a friend or whatever. Like that was it for our group.
Mhm.
Or they'd bring in these girls to these events. I had no other way. And the internet was so new, you didn't know what that was about, right?
Sure.
I've told the
Mhm.
story on some podcasts before, but I talked to a girl on the internet in like 1996 that knew like one of my great uncles. She like lived in the same building. It was something weird. So again, it was another mixer. We set up to meet at this mixer. So we're like, I was all excited. I'm like, oh, finally. So I get there, and me and my buddies like walking around the dance trying to find her. And there's this group, Keith, and I feel bad to this day about it. She must have been like 4'5", and the rest of the group would have been like what my house is going to look like watching the Royal Rumble, right? Like you, Grooney, like Scott. Like I mean, that like right, that's the friends. And so we kind of passed by. I don't make any contact, and I don't think we had shown a picture, so like we didn't know what each other looked like. And
Sure.
so I go to the cafeteria. We regroup, me and my buddies. I'm like, I can't do it. I'm like, I just can't do it. So one of them goes out and kind of finds them. He's like, oh, you so and so. She's like, yeah, Justin got in trouble. Last minute he couldn't go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I felt bad because I did like talking to her. I wish I wasn't so superficial. Like it could have been like cool. Maybe we would have gotten along. But I just panicked in the moment because I'm like, and who was I? Like bullshit. I wasn't some fucking stud. I mean, so I don't know why I thought I was any better. But
I had
yeah.
I had two similar stories I'll tell you about real quick. So I was in Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts when I was a kid, and we used to go on a camping trip every year. It was called Operation Polar Bear, and it was like a winter camping trip. And I used to love going winter
Wasn't this the
camping.
premise for heavyweights?
It might have been. So we went to when I was 18. Once you turn 18, you're an adult in scouting. You can no longer be a Boy Scout or whatever, but you could be like a assistant scoutmaster. Like you can be like a leader. So I had said, yeah, I think I'll go, and I'll just go to this Operation Polar Bear because again, it was like one of my favorite trips to go on, and I walked around like we had like it was basically I was 18, and then there was like a whole bunch of my friends that were 17 because I was friends, we were friends when I was 17 and they were 16 and 16 and 15 and so forth. So I walked around with them the whole time, and you do all like these different little exercises, but it's a Boy Scout Girl Scout joint trip. So the Girl Scouts are also competing against the Boy Scouts in all the events.
Right.
And we happen to be constantly meeting up with this one group of Girl Scouts that had a similarly aged like adult leader with them as well. And her and I were talking like the whole time because like while they're off doing shit on the course, we're standing back and we're just talking. And the weirdest thing is they do like a mixer at the night where it's like all the
Right.
kids that are over the age of like 14 get to go to like a dance, and then all the kids under the age of 14 go and watch like a movie. And I mean, we had gone to this thing every year, and it was the worst. It's the worst because it's such a forced. It's the
Just like
same exact.
heavyweights.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing, like that forced like dating thing. But I ended up like getting her number, and we hung out a couple times. And I think like, needless to say, there was one night where I thought things were going to get a little sexy, and they didn't. And she came. She like stayed over at my dorm room, and she came out of the bathroom with like flannel pajamas on, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be odd. And so the next morning I was like, hey, you want to go for breakfast? We went out to breakfast. I said, all right, I'll see you later. I'll call you. And then I was like, delete. I like deleted her number.
The
I was
flannel
like,
pajamas did, huh? That was it.
Flannel pajamas. Thank you. Say that 10 times fast. And then right at the beginning of when, do you remember like online dating, like through Yahoo, like Yahoo personals and shit like that?
Yeah.
I had I had been talking to a girl who the only thing that we really had in common is that we were both Harry Potter fans. That was it.
Okay.
I know, right? And I tell this to my friends. My friends are like, "You're the biggest piece of shit." And I go, "I know." And we had agreed to meet, and I had gone to the place where we were going to meet like really early because I was nervous. And I remember it was like January or February, so it was freezing out. And I'm sitting in my car, and I'm like, and I see her pull up, and she gets out, and let's just say she looked like she could have played. She looked like she could have been the center for
Hagrid?
like the Patriot. Yeah, she was like, yeah, she looked like Hagrid. Like she was a giant, and it wasn't. And I was not my best moment, and I just kind of did one of these like, and I drove away, and I like left.
It's just awkward, right? Because you come up so superficially, but it's just
Sure.
how we're wired, right? But it's like
Well,
then
I
you
mean,
look
I
back
know.
and it's like,
Yeah, I mean, when you're attracted to somebody, and what
yeah.
am I gonna,
But it's tough as a teenager because you're not
nobody
gonna
got
probably
time for
look
that.
like you did then, right? I mean, you're gonna age differently and you're gonna grow out of the awkward stage, and it's like it's hard to project what that looks like, right? Like
I don't know.
on both sides,
I was a stud from youth, so that you're looking at right now.
all right.
I should have been
Anyway.
thankful that girl wanted to even talk to me. I was like, "What kind of Patronus do you produce?"
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, who the fuck were we? Like,
I
so what
know.
if she's like half my size? Like, whatever, that could have been cool.
Ufamaji, I don't know. But yeah, well, you made a choice, and I commend your friends for at least you had friends that were willing
Yeah,
that were
Bill
willing to,
Serpa, man. Bill Serpa was a good dude. It came down meningitis though. Senior year, it was rough. He was out of school for a while.
Shout out to
Good
him.
guy, Bill Serpa, good guy.
So that was Lady in Red.
His cousin Ron Serpa was a good guy too. I see him on Facebook every now and then.
Oh yeah,
Serpa boys. Yeah.
I just love when you talked about like leaving room for the Holy Ghost. That's a very Catholic school thing. Let me see. All right, number 4 in the 90s, we have this. You have to guess what's coming up, right? If I was to give you a guess of like 2 or 3 songs, which one of them you think would it be from the 90s?
It's yeah, I'm drawing blanks. I'm just guessing out of it. Give me like a time or a genre or
Okay,
something.
1990. Rapish. I'll say rap, but rapish.
All right, just give it to me. We got a lot to get through.
Ice Baby.
Oh, see, I wouldn't have thought that. Like, that's not a bad.
Ugh.
What is their criteria? That it's not cool for them? Like, Ice Baby was a fucking like monster hit. Everyone had the Vanilla Ice pants. Everyone did the Vanilla Ice dance.
In the description here, it says watching the video is like opening up a time capsule. Did we really think Vanilla Ice was so cutting edge in 1990? Watch him dance.
Yeah, it's a time capsule to an awesome time. Like, who's doing this? Are these like fucking 23-year-olds that are like too cool for the 90s
Probably.
doing these lists?
I mean, who still reads?
Because no one that grew up in 1990 is putting that song on that list.
All right, what about Achy Breaky Heart?
Yeah,
that song sucks.
I don't know. It's but again, like, I don't know. Maybe it's again like the the wrestling guy in me that like defends the money. Like, that song was a big fucking like. You make music for your audience, right? Like, he made that for a particular audience that is into.
Wait a minute, was Billy Ray Cyrus involved in? I forget. Was he involved in wrestling?
No.
Oh, but it's because it's
the wrestling mentality of you're putting on a show for your fan base and trying to draw money. That like it's that old argument, that versus like being critically acclaimed content, but
it's going to draw money, pal.
Like, Billy Ray is making that song for country pop fans that like to do line dancing, and there is going to get 1 million hours of airtime on Light 105 and everything else, right? And like Achy Breaky Heart fucking aired constantly, made that guy a millionaire, and brought us Miley Cyrus.
Okay,
for better or worse.
I take it easy.
I'll tell you, if Ninja Rap by Vanilla Ice is on here, I'm going to lose my mind.
No Ninja Rap. I'll give you that. Ninja Rap is not. So Yo Baby Yo is good. It's safe. Neither is well, that would have been in the 80s. Can't touch this, but MC Hammer's not on this list either. But
good.
Number 2 on the 80s.
Well, I already know what number 1 on the 80s is going to be, but God, tell me number 2.
Number 2 is The Final Countdown.
Oh my God.
I know. I love that song.
Again, they're punishing songs that tried to be different in the 80s.
A Magician Named God. That's all I got to say.
Right. And also Brian Danielson.
Yes.
I love, like, one of my favorite Criscolo stories. on my old iPod, right? Like you're downloading shit from every fucking illegal stream you can. It's not always going to populate with the proper information. So
Right.
we're at a party, and for whatever reason, this version of Final Countdown I had come with that it was on the Rocky 4 soundtrack. So it's the Final Countdown Rocky 4, right? So that's what it said on the thing. I didn't put it there. I just downloaded the fucking music to my iPod. So I remember it's playing and he goes and looks at it and he gets all fucking mad. He's like, I don't remember Final Countdown being a Rocky 4. I'm out of here. And he storms up the fucking stairs to the I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't fucking know. So mad. He got so mad.
You got mad about the placement of the song.
But it does sound like a song that could have been on Rocky 4. I don't think it's
absolutely that crazy. Yeah. With a broken heart. I mean, that's right up there. I think isn't that Europe? I think it is.
It is Europe. But it's not Asia, it's Europe. But I don't know why. Again, I feel like they're just trying to put weird songs. Like it's such a stupid list.
Well, number two for the 90s is the Macarena. So
again, a massive hit. You couldn't go anywhere in 1996, 97 without Macarena ring.
Yeah, but I mean, my brother was watching something on not PBS. It was on, I forget what it was on, but it was like Rob Lowe was hosting like the 90s and they were talking about like everybody doing it. And you see people, and it's so bad when you see like, you saw like Bill Clinton and who's the guy they ran against? Bob Dole.
Bob Dole. Yeah.
Bob Dole's doing like, and it's so bad. Like, come on, man.
Well,
really?
yeah, because it became what it was meant. Like, I'm sure they were trying to make it cool, but what it became was the anthem for the old awkward white people. Like that did at every wedding and every event. Like again, every event I went to in that era, the Macarena played.
When was the last time you were at a wedding or an event where they played it?
I want to say it was probably recent because I go to a lot of school, like elementary school dances and stuff. So I want to say it's probably not that long ago. But people at weddings, older people love like my mom is up there for every line dance at a wedding. Yeah. Every line dance, whether it's the Cupid Shuffle, whether it's Macarena, whether it's Electric Slide, like they're out there for all of them. So it's just the next in that lineage of those types of songs.
And there's like
it's the Electric Slide of the late 90s, and then it's the Cupid Shuffle, and I'm sure I'm missing another one, but
I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's a song that
to the left, to the left, to the left.
I forget the one. It's the song that it's so Bob Heck of Bob Heck Entertainment, Pittsfield's #1 entertainment destination. I just always like to throw it out there. But Bob Heck is like he's like one of 5. I think he's 4 brothers. He's like one of 5. And at his wedding, I forget. Oh, it's the
Cha-Cha Slide.
It might be the Cha-Cha Slide, I think. And
that's another one.
Him and his like 4 brothers, and like I think even his dad like did it at his wedding. And I remember sitting there watching this, going, "Jesus, can a bomb just go off right now?" Like it's the worst.
But it goes back, right? Even like the Twist. I mean, that's like an older one. Cotton Eye Joe was kind of in that realm, right? Of like
So I think I think what we're trying to say is that any song that makes white people awkwardly dance in a line should be banned at all events, right?
Yeah. But again, it was targeted to a specific audience that it worked for.
Yeah, doesn't mean it's any good.
But depends where your definition of good is, I guess.
All right, now we're at the #1 for both.
#1 for 80s is We Built the City. It always is on every 80s list.
1,000%. Starship. We Built the City. I don't. I have a really tough problem with Starship because I don't know, they weren't as horrible as everybody thinks, but you know that Bernie Taupin co-wrote this song. Bernie Taupin, Elton John's lyricist, co-wrote We Built
Not
the
a
City.
surprise. Was it during his break from Elton?
It might have been, yeah. One of the breaks. I don't know.
When he's back on the farm. I don't know. Like I feel like it's again, it's all right. Like it is kind of silly. Like it doesn't really make sense. But I don't know. It's well known. Now, I always associate now with Tony Deppen from GCW because he said he wanted to pick. I don't know if you ever read the interview why he used it, but it was like he wanted to pick like the most annoying bad song because he's such an asshole heel. But now it's become like synonymous with him, and it's like everyone like sings it when he comes out and stuff. So it kind of backfired a little bit. But I think it was big in Glow too, or did they play it in the Glow series? I feel like there was a big episode that played
Probably
it.
because it's an 80s song. I mean, it came out
Yeah.
like what, 1984?
4 maybe, something like that.
Yeah, 1985, 84, 85. So I mean, it's a
I never
huge.
minded it. But it's
No, I don't
lazy.
either.
Every list has it as number one. It's stupid. Any list
Yeah.
you see of the worst songs of all time or the worst 80 songs, it's always number one. It's lazy journalism.
It is lazy journalism, and I'll tell you right now, it's not that bad. Peter Wolf, who I believe is a very
If it's not David Wolf, I don't care.
No, it's not David. No,
Or Moto Flambe.
Peter Wolf, not David Wolf. So, or what?
So my Moto Flamboyant joke. Everyone did today. I was very upset. Could have got one fucking smile emoji. It was a great deep cut joke right there.
I'm sorry, I ruined it.
You mean Moto Flamboyant?
Moto Flamboyant. I did see that in all caps. I was like, wow.
Moto Flamboyant produced this song. Yeah, anyway. All right, what's the 90s number one so I can get mad? Well, give me a time and like a genre. Let me see if I can guess.
1997. It's like a girl song, I guess. It's not Spice Girls though.
Oh, it said better not be wannabe.
No.
A girl song from 1997. Is it like
Yeah.
pop?
Yeah, pop song. Yeah. I'll give you a hint. It would have been very apropos to come out and be re-released in 2023.
I don't know.
Barbie Girl by Aqua.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah, I can see that being number one. I guess I don't have too many qualms with that.
Yeah.
Okay, Ken.
Now, I mean, is there anything that screams to you that would have been an equally as bad song? We'll stick with the 90s since it's your area of expertise that you think like should have been on that list as opposed to any of the other ones we had mentioned.
I mean, you mentioned MC Hammer. I don't think I don't know
if You Can't Touch
You Can't Touch Us should be in there, but I would say Pray. Pray's pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pray just to make it today. I think Where Have All the Cowboys Gone is pretty stupid.
Yeah.
That song got a ton of play.
Yeah, it did.
I'm going through some lists right now. Like one has LFL Summer Girls, but that was a super catchy song as well, even though it didn't make sense. But the Abercrombie and Fitch, everyone knew that.
Yeah.
Informers on there. Fuck that. That was great.
Oh, Snow. Oh, God.
Live in La Vida. This song has Shania Twain, You're Still the One I Want, as the number 10 worst songs of the 90s. Are you fucking
That was
kidding
another
me?
like huge prom song, or at least teen dance song.
This is Higher by Creed at 6, which I don't agree. Crash Just Dummies. I don't think that's bad. Lou Bega, Mama Number 5. I think that could have been on here. That's a
Mama Number 5.
one.
I like my favorite story of Mama Number 5 is Boston Chris went to go see Lou Vega, and he played Mama Number 5 like 6 times. Or like 5. Did he play it 5 times?
What's he gonna play?
But he came out, he opened with it, and he sang like another couple songs. Then he did it again. Then he did another couple songs. Then he did it again. Then he left. And he came out and he did it. He did it like twice for an encore. I was like, what?
They have their number one on this list from BuzzFeed was Limp Bizkit's Faith, which that also was not great. Their cover.
Yeah, that's not no. That's a very
All right, I gotta stop looking at this list. Look at this is Vice's. Go ahead.
He's a very acquired taste, Limp Bizkit, I feel like,
I like Limp Bizkit in general. All right, listen to this. You want to really get mad? This is how we're going to wrap this segment. I'm going to read you Noisy by Vice. Okay. Their 13 worst songs from the 90s. This is from 2015. Okay. Are you ready to punch a hole through your screen?
Yes.
Anything you thought was on that 80s list that was bad, get ready. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Top 13 worst. They're not numbered, so I don't know if this is in any kind of order or if they just gave their worst 13. We cannot bear to hear them, they say. Radiohead, Creep.
The fuck? Okay. Yeah, that pisses me off already.
Blink 182, All the Small Things, which is an awesome, great song. It's a great song.
Okay.
Sublime, What I Got.
I hate Sublime. I'm a huge.
But that's an awesome song. That's a great song.
It is, but I'm a huge. I can't stand Sublime. You know why? Because they play it. Our local radio station in Boston, 92.9, it literally plays at like every 12 o'clock every day. They play some Sublime. It's usually one of the 2 songs that they play, and
They
they
get a lot of
play it.
songs.
Yeah, but there's only like 2 that they play on the radio, and they play those 2 songs all day, every day, and it's annoying, and I can't stand it.
I like
WBCM was like that.
Sublime, and this song should not be on the worst 13.
It
Objectively, you
shouldn't.
can't.
It
Should
shouldn't
not
be.
be there.
It shouldn't be. I'll be objective. It should not be. Yes. Go
I
ahead.
think some kid born in 2001 made this list. Metallica Fuel, which whatever.
But the opening is so good. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that was that eye. Ooh, it's off a bad album though. That's why, because it's off of I think Reload, right?
Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back.
How dare they? That is absurd. That's absurd.
All Star by Smash Mouth. Now, listen, I kind of get it if you're annoyed by it and it's kind of a goofy, but it's again an upbeat anthem. Shrek, it made super popular in Shrek. It's another one you hear at every event. I wouldn't put it on the bottom 13. I'll say that.
No,
at all.
no.
Mama number 5. I think we can agree that's probably fine there.
Yeah, that's on there. That's
Angel by Sarah McLachlan. I don't see how that's the bottom 13. Here you go. You ready to get really mad? You ready to get really mad? Everybody Hurts by REM.
At least it's not What's the Frequency, Kenneth, because that's a great song.
I feel like they just made this list to make people mad. Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, an awesome song.
Wait a minute. That's considered like one of the... Get the fuck out of here. That's like one of the greatest songs ever made.
Is it Cruel Intentions? What movie is that?
Yes, it's Cruel Intentions. It's one of the greatest songs ever made.
When he's dying.
This person doesn't know what they're talking about. If my brother heard that,
here's another one. As a Pats fan, you're going to get mad at this because this is in regular rotation, or used to be back in this time. Song 2 by Blur.
Yeah, that's I feel like
they used to play it at kickoff a lot. I feel like
the person put that on there because it doesn't have a real name.
Who cares? Primus, who I know as Big Brown Beaver.
I don't know if I know that song.
Yeah, it's all right. Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Usually considered the best song of the 90s on many lists.
Okay, it's only the fucking song that kicked off an entire genre of fucking music that still kind of exists today. Yeah, it's
Man, this song is trash. The simple fact that there are countless other Nirvana songs that are better. I won't tell them to you, though. Moreover, this song is often considered to be one of the best of all time, which is weird considering it's 4 chords and the lyrics make no sense. People love to talk about how much they like Kurt's message, but like what message? Anyway, the reason Nirvana rose to the top of the alternative pile of garbage of the 90s is considered important by this generation is for 2 reasons. Videos of the band performing look like an Instagram filter, and Kurt Cobain killed himself. We're all assholes who love a poetic story. To the person who thinks this is the greatest of all time, we get it, bro. You're alt. Fuck you, Eric Sunderman, whoever you are.
Oh my God. Yeah, that kid. Yeah, he wasn't born in 2001. He was born in like 2010. Give me a break. What are you kidding me?
Not only that, you also have the Weird Al cover, which is fantastic.
Yes.
Smells Like Nirvana.
Yeah.
And the knockoff used by Diamond Dallas Page.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. He started when I went to the DDP yoga session. I think it was around this time, probably 2015, 2016. So he does like his speech and then you do the yoga. So he starts with this. This is the first song he plays, and he's like, "If you know, you know." You know, it's really funny. So I was like, "It was good." That was the first song on his playlist. Yeah, I went with my mother-in-law because she's a big yoga. She likes CDP yoga, and she's like, "Oh, what is it? Like, what's the joke?" So I had to tell her, like, "Oh, this is what he meant by that." But
that's awesome.
I don't know if he still does those, but I recommend it. The session was awesome. It was really good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I have his DVD.
I did it for a long time. I liked it a lot.
What's it? Yoga for Other Guys?
It was Yoga for Real Guys, but then he rebranded it to DDP Yoga.
DDP
I mean, it's like
Yoga,
$1 million company now. But
well, I mean, I liked it because it's different. It's not your regular like Downward Dog and stuff like that. Like it's a good it's a good twist. So yeah. I like it. Was that number 1? Smells Like Teen Spirit.
They didn't. They were just like 13 songs. They weren't numbered.
Yeah, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Forget about friggin'. Even if you want to say, you know what? I don't even know if I would say that. Maybe Lithium is a better Nirvana song, maybe, but Smells Like Teen Spirit is probably their best. All Apologies is a good song, but like,
yeah. I mean, they got a lot of good ones. I don't see an argument where
that's basically that's exactly, you know what that is? That's saying that She Loves You is a shit tune.
About a Girl's great.
Yeah, About a Girl is great.
Dumb.
Penny Royalty, that's a good song.
Man of So the World is great. I mean, they got a lot of good ones.
Yeah, Come As You Are is
Yep.
really good. Anyway, so that's good garbage. Okay, so we had also talked about television shows that Rolling Stone has been recently mulling about, and they had a list that we kind of all poked and prodded at. It's the top 100 song or top 100 TV shows of all time. We are not going to go over the top 100.
Oh, okay.
We're going to
I was ready to settle in. I thought we were going to rip through all of them.
We could if you want. No, we don't need to. I don't think anybody wants to listen to us talk about 100 television shows and where they fall. But we can talk about the top 10. I think the top 10 is good. Yeah. And you could give me your thoughts. I'll even say the top 11 because I think you and I have talked about the number 11 song, the number 11
okay.
TV show, excuse me. Succession is number 11. Now, Succession just wrapped up. Big HBO show, just won a ton of Emmys on the Emmy show that just was on this past week. First of all, I don't think the show should have been called Succession. I think it should have been called the Fuck Off Show because they said fuck off more than any other phrase in television history. They said it more than dragons in the Game of Thrones series. So yeah.
I mean, it's a great show. Like, it was one I wasn't watching originally live. Like it took me 3 times to get through the first episode. Like, and I'm talking like months, maybe even a year apart. Like I watched like the first like 20 minutes, and then I would get interrupted, and I'm like, whatever. I wasn't that into it. Get into something else, and then I just needed something. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, and I blew through 3 seasons, and I watched the final season. It was the only one I watched live. So I got up to 4 in time to watch it.
That's the same way I did it too. Yeah.
It's a great show. It deserved the Emmys. It bothers me a little bit that it shut out Better Call Saul on a lot of ones, because to me it's a joke that Better Call Saul was nominated like 53 times and never won any. At the very least, Rhea Seehorn should have won one. I mean, if no one else and nothing else, she deserved at least one. Because she's phenomenal as Kim Wexler. Like, she should have. I think Sarah Snook was great in the last season of Succession, but to me, I think Rhea Seehorn to me in that last season of Better Call Saul is like another level of acting. Like, she was fantastic.
It's amazing. The last season of Succession, I felt Sarah Snook was terrible. I felt like we actually have a joke in my house where all we do is walk around going, yeah, because that's all she does the entire, yeah. And her storyline was so just confusing and weird with, like, she's with the brothers, she's not with the brothers, she's on her own, she's with her husband, she's not with her husband. No, absolutely. I don't even think Rhea Seehorn was nominated for Best Actress. I don't think for Better Call Saul.
I think she might have been. I mean, she was. Those last few alone, where she's in Florida and then on the bus, and then at the end, like, it's a joke. I mean, she's phenomenal in that entire series. Jonathan Banks as well as Mike Ehrmantraut should have won something.
I don't understand how, and this is funny because we're going to kind of gloss into the conversation about the Emmy snubs, but like, I don't know how a show like Breaking Bad gets so many wins and nominations, and you don't give one win to anybody for anything for Better Call Saul, which, granted, I don't know if I would put Better Call Saul on the same level as Breaking Bad, but
I would put it above at times.
There are.
I think we've had this exact discussion already on the show. But,
I think we have.
Yeah,
we did.
We'll save it. But I do think there's an argument to be made. I think there's I don't think it's a crazy argument.
No. Number 10 is the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Now, have you ever watched any episodes of? Have you ever actually sat down and watched any episodes of Mary Tyler Moore?
Not in a long time. I mean, I grew up as my dad was a little bit older, so he grew up all on like 50s, 60s. Like, so as a kid, you don't have many options, right? So as a kid, I grew up on a steady diet of every show from that era, like Green Acres, Andy Griffith, Happy Days, like all that shit, right? I mean, that was like anything that was on TBS, like all those shows they would air on TBS, Mr. Ed, like, I mean, all that crap. Like, I grew up watching those endlessly. I grew up listening to Motown and oldies and like all, that was my childhood. Yeah, everything Nick at Night. So I know I've seen Mary Tyler Moore. I know I've seen Honeymoon. Like I saw that shit growing up for sure.
Yeah.
I haven't sat and rewatched it in 30 years, but I get it, you know.
I think one of the cool things is well, it's cool in this, but it's obviously sad. But when Betty White passed away, I don't know if it was just the algorithm on YouTube was starting to feed me a lot of her Sue Ann Nivens stuff from Mary Tyler Moore, and that was one of the big things about Golden Girls is that she didn't want to play the Sue Ann Nivens role, which ended up being what Blanche was, and
right.
That was one of the things they said. Well, we're going to have you play this completely different character and everything, but I started watching a lot of these clips of like just Sue Ann Nivens on Mary Tyler, and it was funny as hell. Like it was funny. Like I'm laughing at it and I'm laughing out loud, going, "This is great." So, no, Mary Tyler Moore. It had a lot of great. Obviously, Ted Knight is on there. I think one of the coolest things is Ed Asner winning. I believe he won an Emmy for both Mary Tyler Moore and for Lou. Or Lou Grant, and it's he's one of the only characters to win an Emmy for playing the same person in a comedy and then in a drama, because like Lou Grant was a drama, and so he won it for winning that. So I think that's kind of cool. And then of course, like Cloris Leachman's on there, Valerie Harper. I mean, it was a huge group of cast.
I would have no argument. I mean, I don't know enough about it. It's like. Again, not to get back to wrestling, but whatever you tell me, like Bruno is top 10, right? And I haven't seen a ton of Bruno, but I know he's top 10. Like that to me is like Mary Tyler Moore. Like I get it. You don't need to convince me. I don't need to see it. I know it's top 10.
Well, I mean, now this is something that I haven't watched. I think I only watched like the first season of, but like Atlanta, everybody loves Atlanta. Atlanta's ranked here on number 9, and
I haven't watched it. D'Amato talks about it all the time.
My brother watches it and talks about it all the time as well. I mean, it's a totally different Donald Glover, which is kind of cool because he was in Community and everybody loved him as in Community. So it's kind of cool because I guess it's still considered a comedy, but it's kind of one of those like dramedies, I feel like.
I think so.
Yeah. But that's also another one I feel
9
like
feels high, but again, I don't know enough of it.
9 feels really high. I mean, overall, like of course, throughout the course. I mean, we're talking about throughout the course of television history. So
so let's get through these top 8 and we'll see what got left out and what should have been over it. And this is everything, right? This isn't as strong. This is everything. I mean, well, you have Mary Tyler Moore, so it's everything. Okay.
So number 8 is Cheers.
Yeah.
Now I know Pete Winston is a huge Cheers fan.
Cheers should be number 1.
Cheers should be number 1 in all of our Boston, era. Yeah, but Cheers is great. Again, another show that just constantly spawns things. Whether it's memes or other characters. I mean, Kelsey Grammer went on and he went and made his own entire
whole career. Yeah.
Personally, I feel like a better show too is Frasier, I feel, but I mean that's just me. But
I think Cheers. I mean, there's some I think that would argue it's even higher. We'll see what's to come. I think if you did this list in like 2000, it's probably number 1. Or I just think there's been so much good TV since that's just kind of past it, not on its own. Nothing it did, right? It's just other stuff has been really great. I know Aaron George rewatched it over the last few years, and he said it's like tremendous. He's like, it holds up, everything is fantastic, and the cast is awesome. Yeah, cheers.
Yeah. It's got the great Woody Harrelson in there. Number 7 is Mad Men. I will admit I have never fully watched Mad Men. I only watched like the first, I don't know, 5 or 6
seen
episodes.
Any of it.
Yeah, I wasn't that impressed. I mean, for it to be, and I know it's great, but compared to like other shows,
I get it more than Atlanta. Like for shows I haven't seen, I would say like I could see Bad Men is so critically acclaimed and was a real. Again, I hate to keep bringing it back to this. I think I have been all night, but like that was like a real cultural show. Like I mean, you couldn't turn around. I heard about Mad Men for like a 4 or 5 year stretch, right? Everyone said watch Mad Men. Yeah, I don't hear that as much with Atlanta, right? Like I mean, I have one friend that talks about it. Mad Men, like everyone was talking about for a long time.
Right.
And it made John Hamm a star, right? So
it did. And you know what's cool about it is that I think everything John Hamm has done since has been fantastic.
Right.
I love John Hamm on everything else he does. It's just
Even the Larry David movie.
Absolutely. Come on, you don't like that movie?
It was a good
movie.
That movie
called like Clear History? I love that movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
What's the name of the car that they build? Do you remember? You don't remember. Yeah. Nice segue though. Number 6 is Seinfeld. That I feel like 6. Come on, 6.
I gotta see what the top 5 are before I get too pissy. But I mean, I get it. It's I'm
No,
guessing most of what's is it the number one is it the number one comedy at least?
no,
Okay.
no,
How
which
many
is fun.
comedies are coming ahead of it?
Uh it's two. I'll say two, and you'll know why
All
I
right.
say two is kind of
Mhm.
weird, but you'll see why.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Well,
to me it probably should be like top 3, but I'm fine with the top 6. I mean, whatever.
well, I'm gonna piss you off right now because number 5 is Fleabag.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Again, I haven't seen it. I know people talk highly of it. This to me screams like victim of like the moment. Like, oh, this was a real hot
Yeah,
show right now. We got to put some current stuff in to seem cool. But you can, I
but
mean, historically 30 years from now, like
no one's gonna.
Seinfeld is still going to be on Comedy Central and TBS and dominate pop culture. Fleabag is not. I've never had one person, not to go all Bill Simmons, but I've never had one person come up to me and say, "Oh, have you seen Fleabag?" Like
Right.
Seinfeld, I've quoted Seinfeld about 40 times a day for
Seinfeld,
35 years. You know what I mean?
Seinfeld 4. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I like, and everyone does that. If you grew up in the again, these people probably didn't grow up in the era, but like, if you grew up in the '90s, you couldn't turn a corner without a Seinfeld quote or comment or joke. Like, it was national news, everything to do
exactly.
Seinfeld.
Exactly. Can you pause for like 1 second?
I'm not editing the video of this, so you pause for a sec. We're back. Go ahead.
That's fine. Okay, so number 4 on this is The Wire. Now, I've watched part of The Wire. It was one of those. It was. This is great. The Wire was one of the shows that I tried to watch to help save my marriage because I was like, because I had heard a comedian one time. I think it was God. Was it? I forget which. It was a female comedian, but she's like, "You ever been in a relationship that you didn't break up with because you guys were watching a TV show?" And I was
So you
like,
started that.
and I started. Well, we had started The Wire kind of like around the time that we were starting to like go to marriage counseling, and I was like, let's watch this show, The Wire. And I was like, maybe we'll just watch this and we can stick around for another 4 years watching this show. But no, The Wire was great. I didn't finish it because I got divorced. No, I didn't. I didn't finish it because it was just one of those where I started. I feel like I need to watch The Wire. I need to watch Oz. Oz is
Yeah.
not in the top 5 or top 4 at
I've
this
never
point.
seen either of those either.
Yeah,
I won't debate The Wire. Like, I know it's on every list. See, that's one that makes sense to me. It's on every list all the
yeah,
time. People are
yeah.
talking about it constantly. People reference it. They talk like people I know talk about it being their best show. So like to me, that I'm fine with that inside the top 5, even though I haven't seen it. Versus something like Fleabag or whatever.
Well, one of the cool things is that Michael B. Jordan's on it as a kid,
Right.
and you see
It's like
Michael B.
Friday Night
Jordan, like,
Lights.
yeah, like he's a little kid, and you're like, oh my god, that's so funny to see. So that's kind of cool. Number 3 is Breaking Bad, which we've talked
Yeah.
about in great detail. Again, yes, I think here I have a question for you. I was talking about this the other day. Do you think Bryan Cranston got stopped at like airports and grocery stores and like do you think Bryan Cranston lost his anonymity before Walter White or after Walter White?
I would say after um for the general public. I would say
Yeah,
before for like maybe kids and families that might have watched Malcolm in the Middle,
yeah,
probably identified him. But for
yeah.
the general population, I would say probably after. But I don't know. Breaking Bad early on though wasn't like a big critical success, right? Or I should say critical success, but a lot like a big. It didn't do big numbers. I don't think till later, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, I
I don't
think
think
you
it was
might
like
be
a
right.
commercial hit or anything. I don't
Yeah,
think it
no, I
was
don't think it was until maybe halfway through the first season or
later.
it's a weird premise. Like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
it's a dark premise, and that's one
So
of the things I think.
that was number 3. You said.
That was number 3, and I think one of the reasons why I loved it is because of the premise. It was like, you knew he had a time limit, and you knew he
Right.
had this, like, time limit to do everything, so that was what I thought was kinda cool. And also it's just, much like the I'll tell you this later. I'll save this other part for it later. So number 2
Well, hang on,
is
because the cool thing with Breaking Bad, not only does he have that limited time, the entire show, which spans what 6 seasons, and in real time took like 8 years to play out, is 1 year of time in the show,
yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
much plays out in that 1 year? It's
Yeah.
nuts. It's just
Because I
like
love
it's just
how
what 40th birthday to his 40, whatever it is. It's like that one
yeah,
year because it
it's
starts
like
with his birthday, and then he's alone the next year at the diner for his
well,
next
yeah,
birthday.
it's is it 51 to 52?
It's
Because I
something
think
like that. Yeah,
'cause he makes the bacon, I think, into a
yeah, yeah.
52, and that was
Yeah.
what his wife did the previous year was 51. Yeah, so it is. It's all within a
Just
year,
1
which is
year.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I love it. Yeah, no, that's I mean, and for people that have not watched it, I've yelled at Pete so many times because he's like, I can't get through the first episode, and I was like,
You're just
dude, the
gonna do
first
it.
episode is like a freaking nuclear bomb. It's so good.
Right. But if you get through them chopping up Crazy Eight and putting them through the drain, then I think you're good. You're gonna get through that. If you get to that point, you're in.
I came across, I think it was on like there was a rerun of it on AMC, and it's the part where he sees the plate and he figures out that there's the missing piece
Yeah.
of the plate. That's like, what is that? Is that the second episode? I think.
I think it's
Is
the
it, or
second
is
one.
it
Yeah.
the first? It's like, it's so good. Like he picks all the pieces and he just figures it out. Yeah, no, please. I understand why this is number 3, but I'm gonna have some issues with it when we start talking about like.
I'm assuming one of the big ones is number 1 or 2. That another HBO show.
It's number 1. So number 2 is The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Which I said this was like a comedy / sitcom. I'm a huge Simpsons fan. I have been almost my entire life, the entire run of the show. I still watch it even to this day, and I think that while people have knocked the middle seasons so much, I don't think they're as bad if people went back and rewatched them. And then I think that once the movie came out, they started really putting back in effort into like the storylines and the scripts, and the show's fantastic, I think, now.
And it connects. I mean, my son has gotten into it recently, kind of found it on his own. We watched the movie a couple weeks ago and he liked it, and he watches the episodes on Disney Plus. So it still like connects on a generational level. I still remember when FXX picked it up when they launched and they ran the marathon. That was like all time. I mean, that
So good.
reignited because I grew up as a big fan. Like I watched it from the early 90s up until probably halfway through college, maybe. So like 99, 2000. And even after that, I would still watch it. But that was like I'm watching it every week time. And when that marathon hit, I remember texting my cousin, who I don't talk to a ton, but we grew up really close, and like he was a diehard. I remember messaging him being like, "Are you watching this marathon?" Because it brought back so much nostalgia. That first season is like, some of my first 2 seasons, or whatever it is, like a Homer at the Bat, the monorail, like just all those episodes, right? Michael Jackson, like just all those came flooding back. This is how great and nostalgic they are. So, and I think they're getting credit for longevity, obviously on this list as well. I think I'd probably have it behind Breaking Bad and Seinfeld, I think. But I think top 5 to me makes sense for this show for sure. I'm glad it's ahead of Fleabag.
Yeah, right.
But
well, and you know what it's not ahead of, and I'm sure you can guess. Do you want to take a guess? Do you want to take a stab at it?
I can only guess as a show that features a man called Paulie Walnuts, called The Sopranos, I would guess.
That's right. I would say from North Caldwell, New Jersey.
I think that's fine at number 1. I know there's always an argument between that, Breaking Bad, The Wire, between the 3 of those. I think those should probably be the top 3 on this list, in some order, I'm guessing. But I mean, Sopranos, I didn't watch it until like 2 years ago, so I was way behind. I got obsessed with it immediately. I flew through it.
Wow.
I went all in. I got the book. I listened to the podcast. So I got all in on it. But yeah, I didn't get into. I tore my Achilles in the summer of 2021, and I'm like, all right, I'm finally gonna watch it, because I had a week after the surgery. We were just literally doing nothing. So I went through. My wife a joke from upstairs. She's like, I keep hearing that fucking song. Like I must have watched like 13 episodes in like the first 2 days, because of just whatever. Like I had nothing else to do, and I got into it. So yeah, I had only seen. Ironically enough, I had seen the finale because everyone was talking about it so much. I watched it, so I knew how it ended before I watched the show. The only other one I had ever seen was I was visiting Scott and Dr. G in Connecticut, and they watched it live, and I was there on a Sunday night, so they were like, "Oh, we're gonna watch Sopranos." That's the one where Vito got caught blowing the guy, security guard. So I'd seen that episode. Those are like the only 2 I'd ever seen before I watched it. So that was my view of the show going in.
I know we can't have them in our social club anymore. I mean, that was one of. So I obviously have been I watched, I think 99% of it live, like as it was happening. maybe the first season I had on DVD, and then I watched it, and then I immediately was like, I got to get HBO because this is like the show's fantastic. I remember when Pete had never watched it, and I said to Pete, I was like, he said we should do a Patreon of us live watching The Sopranos. And I was like, okay. And then he went and watched The Sopranos, and I was like, dude, but he went from never having watched it to being like, this show is amazing, to now that's all we talk
he's like
about
me.
is The Sopranos.
Yeah, it's like me. It's the same thing.
And it's just,
like I messaged Demont. I mean, we got to chat just about Sopranos, but you're in there. But I talked to Demont. Like, I'll send him quotes all the time. Like, so it's it's taken over for me too. And I've only watched it through once. I know people have watched it dozens of times, but
sure. I'm on. I think I'm on 7 rewatches of it all.
I'm sure I'll go through it again at some point. But
one of the things I will say that has always bothered me about it upon multiple rewatches is some of the cuts are really weird when they go to like different scenes. But when you watch it like once, you don't realize that it's watching it 7 times. Like, you know, when you see shows 7
the only one I noticed that was weird is when they do that weird freeze frame on Carmela that one time when she's at the school or whatever. They're like freeze and then go out. Yeah. So I think it's a fitting number 1. I mean, this is what I thought you meant when you said it's kind of a comedy, because honestly, I think there's an argument to be made. It's more of a comedy than a fucking drama.
Oh, it's a very unintentional. It's just like I always say, Goodfellas.
I don't know if it's even unintentional. I think it's written as a comedy in a lot of spots. Like, there's a lot of really funny shit in there that I think is written. And now I think part of it is the source material. I think old Italian dudes by nature are just fucking ridiculously stupid and funny. So I think that's like part of it. I just think that the way they talk and act is naturally comedic. So I think that plays a role in it.
I just remember from the PTVN Christmas play this year when D'Amato's playing Pat Patterson, and at one point he goes, "Sacre bleu, where is me mama?"
See, it's everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere. With my mama. So yeah, it's and you can tell when I watched it because the Christmas play the year before, if you go back and listen to 2022, the whole thing is like all Sopranos shit all through it. Like the whole thing. If you go back and listen to that, it's all Sopranos stuff. Like, because I was watching it when I was doing that play.
I mean, I think for like 3 or 4 days after we would watch The Sopranos, Brian and my brother and I would walk around the house and be like, "Hey, it's our Italian."
Well, and as Italian heritage, like
anyway,
there's an extra part to it, right? That connects with you. Because you lived a lot of it, not many of the mob stuff, but like a lot of the stuff at home and the way Livia talks with Tony and like the way Carmela talks, like all that stuff is dead on. I mean, it helps that they had a true blood Italian and Gandolfini, in the role, but a lot of it resonates,
So one of the things I wanted to compare Breaking Bad and Sopranos with on that is the descent into evil that Walter White and Tony Soprano take. Because if you remember that first season, Tony still has a little bit of a kind of a nice guy edge towards him. Like, he's not a total piece of shit. And I feel like that's how Walt is up until like Walt's transition into Heisenberg is like Tony's transition into like the boss. And it's like once Tony fully becomes the boss, and like, especially like after the friggin' shooting when, Junior's now in whatever jail, protective custody, whatever he's in, like Tony becomes a fucking maniac. And you look at all the killings that he did and just the justifications he had for the people he murdered and stuff. It's crazy. I always go back to and I know David Chase was interviewed and they asked if Ralph killed Pyomai. And he said, yes, he did. And I still don't think he did. I don't think
he definitely did. He definitely did. He's a piece of shit.
I don't think he did. I've watched it so many times. I don't think he did. And I think that Tony just assumed he did, and then he killed him over it. And it was so good.
He was going to kill him either way, but I think he killed the horse.
I know.
The horse. But the great thing with Walter White is, to me, and I think we've talked about this too, but everything he did could be justified. And to me, he doesn't turn into an irredeemable character until he shoots Mike, because that's one that while Mike is a bad guy, at the end of the day, he didn't need to do that. And that was like the one real guy he killed for like no reason. Now there's other bad stuff he does. Like I don't remember the timeline exactly and where it all falls, but like poisoning Brock, that might be that might be around that time. That was bad. And then the having Jesse kill Gale. to me, those are like the real point of no return for him. But the Mike one is like where he really just is the first time he kills someone with no reason to do.
Yes.
He's just like turned into like a madman
Yeah.
when he kills Mike because he just didn't need to do it,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. He could have let
and
Mike walk away and all would have been good.
right, yeah, because they were doing fine with the pest control stuff. So
yeah,
but the so that, and then same with Tony. I think like the Tony, like you said, in season 1 would never have killed Christopher. I guess you should put spoiler warning over this, but whatever. Show's 20 something years old. But like the Tony of season 1 wouldn't have done that, right? So that's one of it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think looking at this list, I think Curb Your Enthusiasm should be in the top 10. I would take out Fleabag and put Curb Your Enthusiasm in there.
Yeah. So if we start looking at some like notable
where's that?
omissions,
Where's Curb?
Let me see if I can find where Curb is, if it's even on the list. It's number 39.
See, that's bullshit. I mean, to me, Curb is like a top 3 sitcom. I mean, if you want to put Cheers, Seinfeld, if you want to put something like Frasier or whatever, but Curb's got to be on that up there.
I mean, you know what I found really funny is that things like but Better Call Saul's number 32, which is kind of
all right. At least it made the fucking list. No, I mean, I get it. Like I was worried it wasn't even on the list. So top 32, like I'm okay
50,
with.
I guess top 50 is good enough. But like, Parks and Recreations is number 30. That I feel is like kind of low. I mean, this list had things like Sesame Street, Roots, MASH, Freaks and Geeks.
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, Star Trek is number 22. I know it's like Star Trek is either like you're a fan or you're not, but I mean, it was cutting edge television when it was out.
Right.
At least the first series,
So to me, like when you look at the vast expanse of all TV, if it's including stuff like Sesame, like all TV,
yeah,
top 100 is still like the top 0.5% probably.
Yeah, still good.
So you're still talking elite. Like, so like to me, Better Call Saul is the 39th best show of all time.
Yeah.
Is like, yeah, that's still fine. I mean, that to me, that's still elite level TV.
Shout out to Jeopardy being number 50.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, it probably should be higher too.
The number 100 show is What We Do in the Shadows. I feel that is very, very too low, way too low. That should be in the top 20 if you want my opinion. I fucking love that show.
What's Saturday Night Live? Is that up there? That's gotta be up there.
Saturday Night Live was in the 20s. I think Saturday Night Live might have been like, or 18. Saturday Night Live's 18. 30 Rock's number 20. All in the Family number 22, which I thought was kind of weird.
See, I love 30 Rock, but I would not have that above. I would not have that 10 to 20 spots above Curb and Parks and Rec.
No,
I mean, like it's great, but like to me, those two should be out. Where's The Office?
Who gives a shit? No, I know.
But that's going to be higher. I'm guessing that's top 20.
34.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm okay with it, but I'm surprised that usually these lists have that really high. I would have Curb over The Office.
I like Parks and Rec being over The Office, which is
I'm okay with that too. I think Curb should be over The Office as well.
Yeah. No, Curb should not be, what did I say it was, 39? It should not be 39.
Is Barry on there?
Barry should be.
I haven't finished yet. I have like six episodes left.
Barry is not.
Oh wow, that surprises me.
But Barry was also kind of like new. I think maybe too new. But like Arrested Development's on
fucking
here.
Fleabag is on there. Like, isn't that like last year?
Yeah, Fleabag was last year. Yeah. I like Arrested Development's on here. I don't know. The last 2 seasons kind of kill Arrested Development, but that's me.
Yeah, but it's fantastic early.
It is.
Trying to think of another one that I had in my top of my mind. Now I forgot.
We got like Oz is on here, number 99. Rick
is
and Morty.
Friday Night Lights on there?
Yeah, Friday Night Lights was on here. What was Friday Night Lights? Hold on. It was in the top 50, I think.
No, that's good.
Yeah, number 28. Yeah. Yeah, so Friday Night Lights, which I never watched Friday Night Lights. Is it really that good?
That's what you should watch. Yeah, it's really good. You should watch it.
Yeah. Okay.
There's one shaky season. I think it's 2 or 3. There's one kind of weird season, but if you like young Michael B. Jordan, you'll like that. I think it's great. I mean, I was super into it when I watched it. It was really good.
I'm kind of pissed. Veep is 13.
Wow.
Like, if you want my opinion, Veep is in the top 10.
Yeah, but I would say top 13 is a win on this. I would have guessed maybe back end. I can't. Wow,
Yeah,
that's impressive.
it is a win. It is a win on this list. But like, I would almost say like, and I'm not. And again, and I haven't watched Atlanta, so maybe I'm completely wrong on this. But I don't know if Atlanta should be in the top 10. I don't. I know I know people like it, but it's not fucking deep.
To me, I would have Curb above it because I think Curb is like, I think they're missing the brilliance of Curb within this.
They are. But the biggest thing I will say about Curb is the first season at least is kind of like,
the lows. We've had this conversation, but the lows of Curb are low. Like to me, like I get it. Like the ones that miss. I'm glad they rewarded Veep for the consistency because it's so good. But they stick the landing.
But Curb is like exponentially leaps and bounds better once he gets divorced.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
From Cheryl. Like it's like a completely new show, and it's so much.
But there's
better.
a couple of great seasons before that as well.
Oh yeah, no, there are. It's just I'm saying it's just But
is 90210 on there, top 100.
Which one?
90210, probably not.
90210 Noso is on the list, but I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, it's news to me.
It's news to me. What the hell? I lost the friggin' link now. No,
it's probably not.
It's got. I'm gonna. You know what it is? Like you have to search for. You have to search like top 50. No, Beverly Hills is not. Wow,
I didn't think so. I didn't think it would.
Wow, that's crazy though. Oh, Barry is in here. Barry's at 52.
I was gonna say it's got to be on there.
Yeah, Barry's in there. Yeah. The UK office is 53. ER is 54. Like ER was great for like 56 communities. 56. Get the hell out of here.
Is Friends on there?
I
mean, I shouldn't say that. I know it's on there. Where is it?
Yeah. Let me see.
I was never a big Friends fan. I never really watched it all.
I almost want to go back and watch Friends, like from the start.
I feel like people that love Friends really fucking love Friends.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I never watched Friends, but I feel like I want to because it has to be good. It's number 49. So yeah. Wow, it's right behind Jeopardy, which I watch Jeopardy every day. So that's
Jeopardy.
my favorite show.
That feels low for Jeopardy.
Yeah, but like I think it's at least in the top 50. I think it's the only technically like game show.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, you could throw like
I'm sure Wheel of Fortune's going to be on there, right?
Yeah,
that's the only other one I would assume is top.
I would say I was going to say Price is Right because Price is
Right. That's probably on there.
But, yeah. So that's hey, listen, that's the Rolling Stone. And again, this is Rolling Stone.
That top 10's not awful. I think it's just a couple.
Whatever stupid metric they use to grade movies.
That top 10 wasn't bad. That was the best of the 3 top 10s or top of the 10 list we did. I would say just a couple misses. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's misses, I think, because and I watched Fleabag and it was good, but it's not
top 5 of all time.
No.
Over Seinfeld. I mean, come on.
It's certainly not. No, it's certainly not that good. I mean, Jesus, What We Do in the Shadows was better than Fleabag. So, and that's number 100. So, but with that being said, I think we're going to wrap this up. JT, would you like to plug anything? I mean, you kind of already plugged, I think, a lot, right? No, actually, no, that was earlier. You plugged stuff.
Just check out our No Suck Connection. Subscribe everywhere on audio. If you're listening to this, we have a lot of cool content. We get different stuff on video. It's a lot of it's wrestling based, a lot of it's list based, countdowns. Ryan Gray and I right now are counting down every WrestleMania match ever, all 402 in short format. So they're all 45 to 60 seconds. You can find them on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, and our Facebook page. And then again, we have other stuff too. Drop it every day. So just follow us on social, subscribe, and you won't miss any of it.
Excellent. You can always hear me on obviously the No South Connection Podcast Network. A La Carte every other Friday drops, as well as you can hear me on Exposition when it pops up on the Jenny position. You should check out everything. I always love to plug stuff for Jenny because I love her shit so much. I love Talking Docs, and I'm not on Talking Docs, so I'd say I love Exposition, but I'm on Exposition all the time. So, but and then of course every week you can hear me with my BFF in the whole wide world, Petey Winston on GFA Live, and just check me out on the artist formerly known as Twitter at Flounder824 if you have any questions, comments, concerns. And JT, thank you so much for joining me this week. It was always a pleasure. It's even better to see you in video format on YouTube. So leave a comment, subscribe, give us a thumbs up because
shout out my awesome Steely Dan shirt that Josh Richard bought me.
Yeah, Deacon Blues. I love it. And I'm wearing my Mega Man 2 shirt that I have, which has all of his power-ups
Goat
on
level game. Yeah.
It's a great game.
I
So
have it on the
thank you
Switch.
so much. Thank you so much for joining me on A La Carte, and we'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.